Okay, so I get tired of hearing my own voice as I'm teaching. So feel free if you have any questions to break in and answer any questions. We have a small enough group today that we're able to do that. And like I said, I get tired of hearing my own voice. If you don't feel comfortable breaking in and asking any questions, Talia, Christine is on today. She is our Google Workplace Certificate instructor here for our center. And so she could answer any questions as well. So you can either send a private message to her and ask those questions, or you can just put a question in the group chat. If we get multiple questions of the same thing over and over, we're going to do a Q&A at the end, and we'll address those questions and make sure that all the questions get answered there towards the end. We are recording this to do for ROI and use it on Canvas, so just be aware of that. So hopefully that we can do some additional training for the ROI program. So just be aware that that is what is happening. So any questions before we get started? Sounds good. Let's get started. There we go. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so I want to welcome everybody to the workshop today. This is digital skills. Oh, it shows my notes. That's not cool. Why did it do that? That's fine. I'll just. That work better? Okay, awesome. I'm gonna bring that down. There we go. Okay, so today's workshop is digital skills for the everyday tasks. Our center here, we are the USU Blanding SBDC. I'm Megan McFall. I'm the director here, and we are proud to be a Grow with Google partner so that we can present some of these amazing skills that you need within the workplace. And so we're really, really excited. If you are going to share this on social media, we ask that you use the hashtag Grow with Google so that people are aware that this is a Grow with Google program. So in our daily lives these days, we are learning to work remotely, whether that is because of COVID or we're choosing to do careers that we are moving into more a remote setting and learning to work at home. Can be a difficult transition for some people if you're not used to working from home. And so here are a few tips to help you transition into that. Number one, you want to keep a routine. So if your normal routine, if you're working in an office, is to wake up, work out, take a shower, and then go to work, keep that same routine. I know that when COVID first started back in March, it was really, really easy for me to sleep in, go to work in my pajamas, either break out the laptop while I was still in bed, type of a thing. And I broke out of the regular routine, and I realized that my productivity level dropped drastically. And so something that I personally had to learn is to get myself back into that regular work routine and make sure that I created that sense of normalcy as I was working from home and create that productivity that I really needed to have. The other thing we want to make sure is that you create a dedicated workspace. Now, if you're in a small apartment or something like that, it might be hard to have a dedicated workspace where you can actually set up an office to work, but have one spot that you go to every day for work that you can just have that as your dedicated space, even if you have to clean it up every day at the end of the day when you're done with work, but have that dedicated space. That way you can prep your mind, and when you get there, your mind says, okay, this is time to go to work. The other thing is to make sure you schedule yourself a break every 90 minutes to 2 hours, because your brain needs that time to kind of break, recoup, refresh. We're not really made to work 8 solid hours without having those breaks. And when we're working at home, we tend to forget that. Whereas if we're at work, we kind of take that water cooler break where we go and chat with our coworkers, or we have a set lunch break. Make sure that you're scheduling that in and having those breaks, and you'll find that you're more productive within your work setting if you do schedule yourself in those breaks. The next thing, make sure you have all of the tools. When you're working in an office setting, you generally have all the tools that you need to be productive at your workday. And when you move into a home setting, you don't always have the tools that you need. So if you've been putting off getting a tool that you need to be productive and get everything done, I encourage you to make sure that you have all the supplies that you need, and you'll find that you get a lot more accomplished. Something that I also encourage you to do is to create a daily to-do list. These are the things that you need to get done on a daily basis. And then at the end of the day, you really can see what you've accomplished and what you're getting your things done that you need to get the work accomplished. But if you're also working on a team, on a remote work assignment or whatever that might be, you really show the productivity level. Give yourself and your coworkers some grace as you're working from home as well. There is a transition period as you're going through. You're going to get background noise, whether that be dogs barking, kids interrupting. You're getting an adjustment with just noises around the families. There's additional stress because you are working from home. Additionally, you're helping kids maybe do homework and stuff like that. Give yourself some grace. It's okay, and do the adjustments. Start working maybe on figuring out ways to minimize some of those interruptions as well. Maybe signs on the doors to let the kids know that, you know, when this sign is up, that you need a little bit of time. And then when the sign comes down, that's when they can come and talk to you. If you've taken the ROI program, you know that having those kind of systems in place are really, really important. And they will help make your workday much better or much easier. The last but not least, make sure that when you are at work, that you work, but then when you're done with work, you close things up and you put it away. Don't send that one last email that will take an hour and keep you at work longer. Creating that work-life balance when you're working remotely is incredibly important, and it keeps you happier, and it keeps a balance within what you really truly need to do. So just keep those things in mind. So today we're going to focus on 3 digital skills to help make your everyday life easier. You know, these skills are things that you can use both in your personal life, working remotely, or in a traditional office setting. They're basically used to help you be more productive and keep things more on task, more on schedule. We're going to use basically a virtual, we're going to plan a virtual summit, or the concept behind it is we're going to plan a virtual summit. You right now might be scheduling something or planning something that is might fit into these categories, and so that you might be able to really fit into what we're going to do. So this is today's agenda. So we're going to create a to-do list with using Google Sheets. We're going to create an agenda for a meeting using Google Docs, and then we're going to build a status update presentation using Google Slides. And then we're also going to go over some amazing resources. The first thing that we're going to do in order to access these is we're going to go over the Google Drive. And if you've never used a Google account before, I'll go over a little bit of that. So your Google account is free, essentially. What Google Drive is, it is the hub. It is the cloud-based storage for your digital drive. It's where you can keep all of your all of your projects, your files, and all your plans right on the cloud. If you have ever had a computer crash before and lost all of your programs or anything like that, you know how heartbreaking it can be, but also how stressful it can be to have all of everything you've worked on all of a sudden be gone and have to try and figure out how to get that stuff off of a hard drive. This, having a cloud-based storage program, no matter what it is, whether it's Google or Dropbox or anything like that, you can ultimately not have that stress. The other really, really cool part about using, say, Google Drive and using the different applications on Google Drive is that they automatically save to Google Drive as you open it, and then the latest version will always save. So I'm going to date myself a little bit. I remember, when we had to actually hit the save button, and I wrote a 10-page paper in high school. It was a research paper and it was due the next day, and then I didn't hit save and my computer went down, and when I rebooted it, my paper was gone. Having that is no longer an issue when you use Google Drive, because it automatically saves and updates those different things. The other really, really cool part about Google Drive is that you can work on projects as a team, multiple different locations, and have everybody working on the same project, on the same documentation, all at the same time, and having all of those versions updating all at the same time, and having everything working simultaneously, which is really, really neat. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to sign into your Google account. So if you have ever signed into Google before, you know exactly what we're talking about. This GIF is kind of going through that process. You're going to go to google.com and click the sign in button. You're going to put in your username and password. And then hit next, right? If you do not have a Google account, go ahead. You're more than welcome to set one up. They are obviously free. I'm going to go ahead and sign into your account. A Google account will give you access to these applications. Google Sheets is very similar to Excel. Google Docs is like a Word program. Google Slides is similar to PowerPoint. Photos is where you can keep and upload your photos, and you can do that directly off your phone. Google Chrome is Internet Navigator, and then Gmail is a free email operation. So the first thing we're going to do now that we are signed in, we're going to go to the applications, the button. It is the 9-block square up in the corner, and go into that. And if you are an avid user of Google, you'll know that within this application button, the most used items are the ones that are going to be up at top. So they're going to shuffle around. So every time you go into that, just understand that it's going to bring up the most applications that you use the fastest. We want to hit on Drive. So if you are following along, and I highly encourage, if you're a learner like me, I learn by doing. So if you have a second screen and you'd like to follow along and do this with us, I highly encourage that you do that. So you're going to go up and we're going to click on Google Drive. And bring up our Google Drive so that we can see that application next. So the first thing that we're going to create is that to-do list in Google Sheets. And Google Sheets is a cell-based program that creates some pretty amazing things. So now that we are in Google Drive, I'm going to show you how to create a Google Sheets from a template. And you've watched the gift here. It's going to show you step by step how to start that program. So you're going to go over to New, take it down to Google Sheets. You want to open from template, and you want to find the to-do list. There are multiple different templates that are already formatted for you that might have what you need, and then you can add what different formatting that you need within that. But why start from scratch when there are so many things already created for you? And that's the neat part about using the template programs. So we'll go ahead and start a Google Sheet from template using the to-do list. Now, if you look at this sheet already has, it's entitled the to-do list. In the first column, it has a little box where you can check things off and show that you've completed those tasks. It has a date. That date is what date it has to be completed by, and it will automatically format. And you can set this up in any cell, but it has already formatted to have a date there versus just numbers. And then the next one is the tasks So if you can write in whatever task that you have there. Now, the cool part about Sheets, if you've never used a Sheets before, we're going to kind of break it down a little bit. So Sheets are now rectangle cells. It's created by rows and columns. And every row and every column, every cell is given a name, and it's based on what row and column it is. So for example, the first cell is A1, and that's because it is in column A and row 1. And so you can kind of see how it's moved. You can move around the sheets by using the arrows, but you can also move around sheets by using your mouse if you choose to. So there are multiple different options by doing that. So within the tasks option, you can change the different tasks that you have for your event. So if we are planning this virtual event, we would want to change those tasks that we're in. We might want to add a column. We might want to change the formatting that we want. So for example, as you follow along here, we're changing the task that we want to change. So when you click on a cell in Sheets and you start typing, it will replace the entire information within that cell. If you double click on the cell within the sentence, for example, then you can edit within the sentence. So be really, really careful when you're working within Sheets, because if you just do one click and then start typing, it'll erase everything. If you do a double click, then you can edit just like you would in, say, like a Word document or something like that. So if you're going through, you can start adding in, we're adding in our tasks for our event. So first thing we need to do is we need to review our budget and make sure that we're stay on budget. We need to create the meeting agenda for the meeting that we have coming up for our entire virtual team that's working on this event, right? But the other thing that we need to add is we also have other members of our team that need to have assignments, right? I'm a big person of making assignments and delegating out, and or if you're using this on a personal level at home, right? And you say you're using this as a chore chart and you need to assign different chores out, you need to be able to put those names. So let's go through and actually put those names in. So we're going to highlight, and we're going to highlight the column, and we're going to insert to the right another column. And then we're going to write in the owner of each of these tasks. So we're just going to write in owner. And then we're going to go put in the names of all the owners of each of those tasks. So we have Paul going to take care of the budget. We have Heather that's going to take care of writing the agenda. And Thomas, we've got to figure out a task for Thomas. I'm not sure what Thomas is going to do yet. So that is how you're able to add a cell and make those assignments. And you can add that cell anywhere you want within that sheets. We could have put it on the right side or the left side, as you saw when you clicked, when you right clicked. So that is how you can format that. The other cool part about Sheets is, I don't know about you, green's not my favorite color. I like different colors, but you also might be working within some branded colors. If you're working within a company, you might have specific branding colors. And so you're able to go in and highlight different cells, just like the gift shows you, and you're able to put different colors in so that they match whatever your branding is, which is really nice, so that you can create a report maybe, or you want to match your branding colors. So the other cool part, you can do the same thing, and instead of changing the color specifically on cells, you can change the colors for a font. You can do the same type of things and change the font style. You can do bold, you can do all kinds of different adjustments with your fonts and your formatting that way as well. So there's a lot of fun things that you can do as you're going along within these sheets, and make it very personal and make it your own. So as we talked about before, the second that you have your you open your to-do list, it's going to automatically be saved within your Google Drive. As you're editing it, it's going to automatically be saved within your Google Drive, as we said, and it's going to update as you go. If you were to share this file, there is a green share button in the right-hand corner. If you were to share this and they made adjustments If you allowed them to make adjustments, then they would be their adjustments would also be shared and updated within your Google Drive as well, which is really, really cool. So the next thing we're going to do, one of our tasks was to create an agenda. So we're going to go and do the same thing that we did before, and we're going to create a meeting agenda within Google Docs. So we're going to go back to our Google Drive, and just like we did before, we're going to go to New. We're going to go down to Google Docs. We're going to open from a template again, and we're going to find meeting agenda. Okay. We're going to open that up so that we can create that meeting agenda that we need to create to make sure that our meeting flows. So as we open that up and we're able to go to our meeting agenda, what they've done here is they've simply done an outline of what our meeting agenda should look like. You can delete any of this out, but basically what they've done is they've created space holders for us, a place where we can write in who's going to attend the meeting, who actually attends the meeting. We put a date, a time, where it's going to be located at, and then ultimately what we're going to do. So for example, as the gift showed us here, things to follow up on from our last meeting, they just changed it to, did Ronnie find tables in there? That was an assignment that we had given him from the last meeting. We want to make sure that we follow up on that. There's some other things that we might want to follow up on, but we don't necessarily want it on the full meeting agenda. So there's some really neat things that we can do on that. There's a couple of different things that we can make adjustments on. So I'm going to say we probably ought to follow up on that budget, because budgets are important to stay within, right? So if we went through and we wanted to change the bullets instead of having them numbered, we just want them bulleted. So we can make those changes as well. You can highlight different adjustments, and you can actually highlight them in color and have them stay just like the gift is doing right now. And then you can change the font into different colors. So we talked about that budget, and we want to review that budget, but we want to make sure our coworker knows that we've got to review that budget within that meeting. So there's two ways we can do that. We can add a comment within the meeting notes so that when we share that, they can see that and know that when we come to the meeting, they need to bring their budget notes. Or we can share it to them individually and assign it to them. So when we do that, you can highlight any section, and it can be an entire sentence or just one word. And then you go out to the side where it has that little plus, and then you can write in the comment just like it had there. And said need to update budget. So that comment would show to everybody that we share this file with. But say we don't want everybody to see that comment. We only want the one person that needs to bring their budget information to see the comment. We can actually assign a comment to a person. And so we want to do the same thing. So you'll highlight a section, and then you go to that same plus. But this time you're going to write the person's email address. You put plus first and then type in the person's email address that is in charge of, say, the budget, for example, on this one. And then you're going to write in, whatever comment that's going to be. So for us is we need to update on the budget. And then that assigns that particular quote or comment specifically to them so that they will be the one to see that comment, and they'll know that when we come to the meeting that they need to bring whatever that they need to bring to update the entire staff on that budget. So that's another really neat aspect of Google Docs when you share. So we talked about sharing files with Google Docs is super, super easy. So I showed you a little bit in that right-hand corner, there was that share file. So you can either share just a doc or you can share an entire file, same process. But you can go through and you can select how they can share. So they can edit your file, they can just leave comments on the file, or they can just view your file. So depending on the level of what's going on, what type of file it is, and what you want them to do, you can choose what level of share you want. So for example, in this case, they wanted to be able to edit the file, go in, make adjustments. If you're working on a team, to make adjustments. But say you have a meeting and you just want to share the notes or the agenda for the meeting. You might just want to say just can view so that people can be prepared for what they need to bring to the meeting. So you might just want to share a file just so that they can view the file. That is up to you. If you're writing a resume, say you don't want anybody to go in and change your information, but you want them to know what their comments are, you might want to share can comment on it so that they can go through and leave comments throughout your resume, and then you can determine whether you want to make those changes or not. So those are just some different ideas. But you go in, you choose what level, you write in their email, you choose what level, and then you can send them that invite so that they can review that doc. Okay, you can also have different levels for different documentations. Like for example, this shows you, we have the agenda for the meeting and we have multiple people on that agenda doing different levels, but we also have a budget. We have a single person on that budget that we're sharing that with, because not everybody needs to see the financial end of things, but we have multiple people that need to know what the agenda is and what's going on and keep it on track. So there are different levels and different options for different files. So you have lots of flexibility within that. So we've planned this budget. We've got our to-do list. Everybody's carried that out. We've created our agenda for the meeting. Our meeting's over. Now we've got to update our boss. Our boss wants to know what our big proposal is and how our marketing for our event is going. So what we're going to do is we're going to open a Google Slides. We're back on our Google Drive. We're going to go to New, go down to Google Slides, and open from template. And we're going to do a status update. So we might as well find the status update. We're doing a big idea since this is going to be a big event. So we're going to find the big idea presentation. Status report. And you're going to click on that. So we're going to do a status report on what's going on with our current project. And what he wants to know is he wants to know where our marketing and how our big marketing for this is doing. And so we're going to go in and we're going to go ahead and get this started. Now remember, this is already saved to our Google Docs. If we have shared this with anybody, so we've got our share button up in the corner. We're going to go ahead and get this typed in. Remember these templates, this is a really cool part about these templates is they've already got things really laid out for us so that we know where to put things in. We can make any adjustments that we needed. On that left-hand side, it's got templates for us. We can go in and use those templates and type in and fill those in as they are, or we can choose to take those out and add in our own individual slides. These are just ideas that basically give us a starting point for these different slides, which is really, really cool. The cool part about Google Slides as well is it gives us other options that we can pull information from. So this is how you would add a new slide in if we wanted to just add a different slide. So say I have this new marketing campaign and we're getting big numbers off of it. So we want to show him this big percentage of our registration increase. And so we added this big number so that we can show him this big percentage of increase off this amazing campaign that we're running. And so that's how we would go through, is we would hit that plus button and add this new slide so we can show this big percentage. But as you saw when we pulled that down, there's multiple different options, or we can use the additional layouts that they have there already set for us. Now let's say that we are doing this presentation, but we want to add a picture in. We want to add visuals. The key here, and one of the big things about doing presentations, especially right now, is you want to keep them interactive. You want to keep pictures and visuals and videos and whatever within this. And so we're going to add a picture from the web. And since this is a marketing thing, we're going to look up marketing. You can also pull pictures from your own device. You can pull pictures from Google Drive as well. So just be heads up on that. The other cool part is you can actually add like graphics from, say, if we were doing a financial report on our budget, we could actually do a graph from our sheets with our budget information. So we just pulled this lovely picture off of the web. Anytime you're pulling a picture off of the web, make sure you have permissions to use that, or it's a free graphic that you can pull. Don't just be pulling a picture that you don't have access to. So just a heads up on that one. So we just pulled that information or that picture and we stuck it in there so that we had a really nice graphic that we can build upon. But just make sure you add visuals to your slide presentations. And then we would need to share this presentation. Now, whether we are sharing this presentation with our other team members so they can add their parts, or we're sharing this presentation with our boss because it's ready to go, it's just either way, we go hit share, and then you type in the email address of whatever location it needs to go. You can add a message. You can determine whether they're an editor or not. In this case, we're going to share it with our team members so that they can add their part, whatever they're working on, and now they have access to it and they're able to make whatever edits they need to make. So to recap today, we went over on how to start a Google Sheets to-do list. We went over how to use Google Docs and set an agenda, add comments to that, how to change the colors, and share your projects. But we also went over Google Slides and how to create some presentations through Google Slides, and then how to share ultimately that with those around. I highly encourage you to explore Google Apps. Google Forms is one that we use all the time here when we're doing surveys after workshops and presentations. We need to find out if it's effective, what kind of other presentations and workshops people want. We use Google Forms because it's a really great way to gather information and to do surveys. Google Sites, if you are a business owner or if you are currently looking for a job, it is a great place to do your work portfolio for whether you're bidding on a job or you're creating your own portfolio so that people can look at your work. Google Slides, we just went through. Google Calendar is another great option. And then Google Meets is another great video conferencing that works really well and coincides with Google Calendar. So if you are ever had any of that or have a need for video conferencing, that is another great option to be able to use. So today, if you want to review all of the templates that Google Docs has, you can go to docs.google.com and go through and review all of those. If you want to do the same thing with Sheets, it's sheets.google.com. And then if you want to personalize any workshops or anything like that with slides, you can do slides.google.com as well. So other resources that are available for you, if you are interested in learning more about Google's different applications and things like that, Google actually has free self-driven lessons and things like that you can take. They're amazing. You can go to g.co/applied digital skills, and you can self-drive yourself through a lot of really amazing trainings and things like that. If you are not the self-driven and you feel like you need an instructor, we teach many of these courses out of our center here, which is really cool. Another place that you can go is the Learning Center, which is g.co/workspace help. And that's where you can go and figure out how to integrate the Google applications more with your work environment. If you like to have really quick little lessons, Google Primer is another great one. It's a little app that you can put on your phone. It gives you about 5-minute lessons every day on how to bring more digital skills within your personal and your work environment. It's a fun little app to keep you refreshed. And then another great tool is guru.google.com to go through and see how to bring more digital skills, more online help, classroom help, and then how to boost your resume with new certifications with Google. So that's another great option. These are other resources that Google has for all of their different applications. It's basically whatever application.google.com that'll give you great resources that you can go to and basically learn all those different applications. So I hope that you're able to learn a bunch of different skills today to help you. I cannot stop this from sharing. There it is. And to be able to add these into what you're currently doing. I know that we have everybody on today has different needs and different wants. We have some business owners, we have those that are professionals, and there are different things, different reasons why we got on today. But as we said in the beginning, these are all three of these skills are different, or can be both brought into our personal life and our business life, whether you are a job searcher, have a profession, or own your own business. And that's the neat part about them. Before we close out today, Talia, were there any repeat questions that we need to go over? There's not? Okay. Well, it sounds like we went over, she was able to answer everybody's questions. Before we go over, before we leave, does anybody have anything to add or want to say anything before we go on?
Megan, this is Chris Jessen. I had trouble logging in. Is there any way you can send me the link? You're recording it, right?
I am recording and I will send you the link. Yeah.
Thank you.
I did that because I knew that USU had the firewall issues this morning, and we have a lot of people that weren't able to get on. I actually got messages this morning and said help. So yeah, no worries. Anybody else have anything else they would like to add? Perfect. Thanks, Pat. Well, thanks everybody for taking the time. I know everybody has super busy schedules. I appreciate it. Our next Grow with Google is on December 10th at 9 a.m. as well. And it is powering your job search with Google tools. Tomorrow, if you're a business owner, we are doing the investment classes, and where we're going over how to do micro loans and talk to investors. So if you are registered for that one, we will see you tomorrow and Thursday. And then we will see you on the next class. You guys have a wonderful night. Thanks for coming.